Good morning. I'm Diane Brower with Minnesota Bankers Association. Today I'm here with Valerie Overby from PCI Performance Management to talk about the culture of accountability. Valerie, thanks for joining us and welcome.
Thank you.
What do you see as evolving trends in employee performance management and community banking?
There are three major shifts that I've seen in community banking over the years, and it's really shifting towards a culture of accountability. And that's kind of a loaded statement. I mean, what is that? It's having not only the performance measures and the tracking in place, which is a little easier to do, but it's also having the culture, especially at the top within management, to start holding people accountable and really looking at the actions needed to develop the human talent that you have at the bank. I mean, really, that's the core piece of this in the creating a culture of accountability is how you're retaining your human talent. What is even human talent? What are those talent needs that you need for your organization? And how do you either leverage it or recognize that maybe you don't have the right seats on the bus and some people maybe need to make a transition?
What do you see as the evolving skills community banks need for the future?
Really the future, and I think we've seen this explode with 2020 and COVID and having to close down a lot of branches, you're seeing a greater adoption of customer behavior online, mobile, anything that, just that leverages that technology piece. But that's a challenging, that challenges community banks in a lot of ways, is that you need to understand not only the platforms, the core system, the technology that customers feel comfortable using, but from an organization standpoint, do you have people on your team that understands perhaps customer data? What does big data analytics look like? How does that analytics and that strategy pool in or feed into your marketing strategy? How do you attack your markets and your customer segments? Do you have even the right messaging to kind of attract and retain some of the customers within those different segments? And more importantly, does it feed into your overall growth strategy? So I mean, everyone wants to grow and everyone wants to kind of, craft a nice message and enhance their brand. But if you back it up and if you don't have the technology platform that customers want, that it's streamlined, that it's easy to use, that it's dynamic, it's not clunky, and then B, do you have the people internally that can really make it dance? And if you don't have people who can kind of feed that into your bottom line, your overall strategy, then you're just clunking around with the same old core system or the same old technology that you've always had, and you wonder why you're not seeing kind of the growth in certain markets that you have. Because really, the change that we're seeing is that customers need banking solutions, they need a financial advisor, but we're not coming into the branches as much. And so how do you have the platform and the technology and the people who feel comfortable using more of that digital online space?
What is the bottom line in performance management?
Well, the bottom line is retaining human talent, but that's a loaded piece of it. It's what is the talent that we need for the future? It's how do you sell in more of a digital space? How do you feel comfortable crafting that message within different market segments? How do you have people who perhaps have been with your organization for 30, 40 years, and now they really need to level up on their skill set? And so from a management perspective, and this goes back to kind of the performance measures and having the culture of accountability, it's one thing to track the performance measures and have goals and say, okay, we understand perhaps certain people need to have to level up in their skills, and we need to create training programs. But you also need to hold people accountable and take action on that. So do you have leadership development? Do you understand bench strength within certain teams? Do you have the right staff model? Maybe you don't even need X amount of people, but the people that you do have to have the skills that drive it forward. And so that's the other side of the coin, is if you have people who are not making that step and that leap forward with you, whether it's a skill set or a mindset, you have to have those difficult conversations and say, maybe this is no longer a good fit for you. And so community banks tend to be really kind, especially towards people who've given their lives 30, 40 years for the organization. It's hard to make that switch, but at the same time, it's driven by that performance management and that culture of accountability. attracting and retaining the talent that you need for the future, it looks a lot different than it did even 5 years ago, let alone 10, 20 years ago.
Well, thank you very much for that, Valerie, and thank you for joining us on the Minnesota Banking Minute.
Thank you.